Hello, welcome to another video. Today I wanted to talk to you mostly about Astrid's primary diagnosis. So before I tell you what that is, I know I've briefly mentioned it in other videos, just a reminder that the birth story video and our NICU journey video might help fill in some of the gaps. So it might be an idea to watch those two videos first, and I can put a link to those in the description for you. So when Astrid was born, she was born incredibly anaemic. So she lost 1/3 of her blood volume. So instead of her haemoglobin being, in the mid 100s, hers was 51. So she had lots of blood transfusions after delivery. So because of that, she has a condition called hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. So hypoxic is a reduction in oxygen. Ischemic is reduced blood flow. And encephalopathy is meaning this affects the brain. So because of the lack of blood that she had going around her body during the pregnancy, she had a reduced oxygen and reduced blood flow to her brain, which resulted in a brain injury. So with HIE, as it's known, there's a huge grading, and there's, children with HIE can be on a huge spectrum to not very affected to extremely affected. So Astrid is extremely affected by this, and she has grade 3 HIE. And as I said, HIE is her primary diagnosis. She does have additional conditions. Oh dear. Additional conditions that are secondary to her HIE. So her HIE is the cause for these conditions. So with HIE, there is no treatment as such. There is nothing anybody can do to make her better now. However, when she was born with HIE, there is a therapeutic window of time where you can do something called cooling, which is where the doctors in the NICU would reduce the baby's body temperature quite dramatically to protect the organs and to protect the brain. Now, it was felt after Astrid's birth she was in too much respiratory distress and needing too much other treatments, that cooling treatment would not be effective for Astrid. Also, they usually do it on quite extreme premature babies, and Astrid was 34 weeks, so gestation-wise it might not have been appropriate, and it could have done her more harm than good. So they decided to not go down that path. So she was diagnosed with HIE when she was 21 days old, when she had an MRI scan. At this MRI scan, she was sedated, and they did an in-depth brain MRI. And the images, I'm not by any means a neuroradiologist, and the pictures don't really mean anything to me, but what I do know is there should be much more grey matter in the pictures rather than it just being white or all black. And what they said to us is that her brain is full of fluid instead of brain matter. And they weren't sure as to what extent would be affected. However, looking from the images from her MRI, they said that she shouldn't be able to breathe by herself. She shouldn't be able to swallow or do any of kind of the basic functions because her brain was severely affected. But here she is, look, breathing for herself. And there was quite a big period of Astrid's life where she was actually feeding. So she did bottle feed, she did eat purees. So there's a lot of things that the doctors told us she would never do because of her HIE that actually she does. So, you know, the MRI gave us some idea of what to prepare for, but it didn't tell us everything. They also said to us that because her brain was so full of fluid, that fluid would eventually turn to cysts. Turn to cysts, and then that might cause some issues with kind of the brain pathways, and that would lead to her having seizures. So that's kind of early days what we were told about her. Oh, what tickling my throat. But we weren't really told much else about HIE really. It was more about kind of the practical things and dealing with her symptoms rather than the condition itself. So we went out and we kind of Googled, as you do, and we found this really helpful charity called PEEPS. PEEPS is a charity that support parents with children with HIE. I'll also put their link in the description for anyone needing support out there. And it wasn't till much later, I think Astrid was at least 10, 12 weeks old, when we found out why she was born so anaemic. So there are many different reasons for HIE, and it's usually obviously lack of blood. But what we didn't know is why did Astrid have such a lack of blood? Because there's no evidence of anything like an abruption or a rupture at delivery. So they sent away my placenta to be looked at by a pathologist, and we got the results back. I think, Astrid was about 12 weeks old, which told us that we had something called a fetal-maternal haemorrhage. So when she bleeds through the placenta and into me. Now, we don't know why that happened. We don't know how far into the pregnancy that happened, how long that kind of slow bleed had been going on for. But they do call her condition chronic, which means it was slow over a long period of time. So, I beat myself up, as I said in previous videos, that I didn't go in sooner. There is argument to say, well, actually, she would have been poorly anyway, as the neonatologists or NICU did suggest that actually they felt like she had been quite poorly for a long time. But we have no evidence of that. We did also have lots of other investigations while we were waiting for the pathology results on the placenta. They thought I could have had something called parvovirus in my pregnancy, but that was ruled out. They thought it could be a genetic issue, so myself and my husband had lots of genetic testing, as did Astrid. Lots of blood tests and examinations to kind of see what happened, and that was the only thing that really came back positive, so we're pretty sure that was the cause. So anyway, that's kind of a little brief discussion about HIE, and I'll get into some of her secondary conditions in another video. Have a good day.